Breacher, Gypsy, Harry. What did you think we meant when we said Harry was from Earth 2?
That he is from Earth also.
That's embarrassing.
Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on The Flash Season 5. So another trailer came out for The Flash Season 5 Episode 2, and yeah, let's just watch it right now.
You're saying you're our daughter?
From the future. I made a big mistake.
The timeline changed.
You shouldn't interfere.
I need to learn how to be like you.
What do you think it means to be like me?
You know. How about...
How much do you think she wants to impress her hero?
Tom, are you okay?
Okay, I've been here with lightning before.
So just quickly, if you can hear some stuff in the background, it is like thunderstorming and stuff like that, so sorry if you can hear rain and rumbling in the background. Hopefully you can't. So yeah, that trailer was released about 12 hours after the normal like first trailer that we got for episode 2 of The Flash. I think it was actually released around an hour before my trailer breakdown for that initial trailer went up. So there were plenty of people saying I missed out on the trailer and was negligent. I got caught negligent. And no, I was just, sleeping. It came out at like 2 a.m. my time. But here we are. I'm around to breaking it down finally. So, yeah, let's do that. But I will also be going over some information and a teaser for another episode later on in this video, just to let you guys know. But yeah, let me know in the comment section down below what caught your eye the most in that trailer and just like your general opinions. And of course, if you want to drop a like on the video to show support for the Flash videos early on in the season, it'll be greatly appreciated, as I do appreciate the support. So the trailer really just starts off with the same old stuff that we had seen in previous trailers, as it is some stuff from the first episode. But then we get a shot that I don't think many, if any of us, were really expecting to see happen in episode 2, let alone in a trailer for episode 2, and that is of course Nora, along with Barry, showing presumably the other members of Team Flash the newspaper article from the year 2049, which says that the Flash is still missing 25 years after that 2024 incident. Now, I say presumably all of Team Flash and everyone, as we can only see Cisco and Ralph in this shot, but the way in which Nora turns the article, as well as the fact that Barry is also looking in the other direction, most likely at either like Iris or Joe or something, does indicate that most likely everyone of importance is here when Nora shows his article. Now, as I was saying, this does come as a surprise, as we are used to the show, and mainly just Barry, tending to keep secrets to himself for a bit until it comes to him that it is like now relevant and necessary for others to know whatever that information might be. So the fact that this is being shown to everyone very shortly after Barry himself found out about it is quite the big change. But you would have to think a conversation between Nora and Barry happens, or something else happens that causes them to reveal the article to everyone else. But if you do want to learn more about that article and exactly what it says in detail from the year 2049, I have done a completely separate video on that, and I will link it in the description down below for anyone that wants to check it out if you're interested. Now, in the trailer, the timeline being changed is referenced, with Barry also saying you shouldn't interfere, inserted in there as well. Now, even though they are out of context, they are presented in that way to really show that, you know, even though Nora lied about her mistake, she still has the ability to heavily affect the timeline every single moment that she is here. Now, yes, in episode 1, they had Wally explain, I guess, like the spectrum of affecting the timeline, and that Nora could stay back here and not affect it. But does anyone watching actually believe that is possible? Because the answer should be no. I mean, as soon as Central City sees another speedster out there with a different lightning and all of that, doesn't that automatically change the timeline? Wouldn't that change like the Flash Museum's records in the future? So if like Nora helps the Flash take down a random villain, wouldn't that like that villain's like biography or something in the Flash Museum say not taken down by like say just the Flash, say with some of the other villains it would say taken down by the Flash and Kid Flash, it would say taken down by the Flash and random female speedster. Like, you know, that would change in the Flash Museum, wouldn't it? So yeah, Nora could stay back in her time, chill out, just hang out in Star Labs, hanging out with her dad and not really affect the timeline. But as soon as she does anything outside of that, especially as a speedster, I think we head into a territory where it is impossible for her to not affect the timeline. And I do believe that in this episode, that being episode 2, we will see something happen that wasn't supposed to happen in the timeline that Nora is from. And Nora's going to realize pretty quickly, oops, I've stuffed up. Now, in regards to what this change will be, I think it could come down to two different options, which could both happen. Like, both of these options could actually happen, or maybe just one of them happens. As well as some other changes could possibly happen, but I just don't think they are like big enough to compete with these two. So the first one of these changes is actually around the villain for this season, that being Cicada. Now, we have mentioned this theory before this season started, like we mentioned it in the off season about like what could this mistake be and different things like that. But thanks to the first episode, we do have some more evidence, I guess, to believe that Cicada is a result of Nora. So, as we heard Nora say, the Flash Museum has all the villains that the Flash fought in chronological order. So she knew all of that stuff about Gridlock, apart from his real name, due to the curator, erasing those. So, wouldn't she know about Cicada? Like, wouldn't he be like the next in line? Wouldn't she know that the current time period she is in is the time in which Cicada begins his onslaught on metahumans, like goes around killing them? I mean, if you were going to reveal to Barry that thing from the newspaper, wouldn't you give him a bit of a heads up about some not so great stuff to come in the, next week, if not a couple of days or so? He's going around killing metas. I think that's a pretty important thing to bring up to Barry. With last season, Nora didn't reveal herself until after that whole DeVos story had ended, obviously getting involved with the satellite for the meme of it all. So she knew certain event timelines about all of that. But just based off what she did last episode and how she acted, it almost seems that she has no clue about the new threat for this season, which definitely suggests that he did not exist in her timeline. He has been created essentially by her effects on the timeline already that might not be evident to everyone else. And the other change that is connected to Nora being here, but also connected to Cicada as well, is that of Cisco losing his powers due to Cicada attacking him. We saw in that trailer from about a week ago with Cisco clutching at his hand with a stab mark in it from Cicada's lightning bolt dagger. And then the promo images for episode 2, we do see Cisco with bandages wrapped around his hand. And in these promo images, you do see that Nora is just shocked. She almost looks mortified from what she's seeing. So at that point, Nora realized she had stuffed up. But I guess it just matters what exactly she stuffed up and how bad and exactly when she stuffed up. So the common theory around Cicada is that he did get the lightning bolt dagger from the satellite incident, because on the dagger you do see lab and it looks like the Star Labs logo. So maybe just her getting involved with that sent things different ways, and just the satellite incident just happened differently because she got involved, which, gave birth to Cicada and that lightning bolt dagger and God knows what else. So it's just little things like this. Even if Barry was meant to destroy that satellite and it was meant to happen like that, Nora getting involved does change the outcome of just little pieces of metal that go elsewhere. Just little things like that can completely change the timeline, and in this case, can give birth to a goddamn villain. Now, in that trailer, we do see more of Barry teaching and mentoring Nora, both on the theory side of things, in that makeshift sort of homeschool setup in the speed lab or whatever that place is called. But then we also see Barry teaching Nora to use the tornado hand super speed move of ultimate power or whatever it's called. So Nora is learning pretty quick. Last week was phasing, this week it's tornado hands. Decent start. There was talk about Nora being more powerful than Barry, or at least having the potential to be more powerful than Barry. I'm not exactly sure where that came from. It just seemed to show up online. It just had a snowball effect where people just started to treat it as a fact. But from what I know, it was a misquote from an interview with Jessica Parker Kennedy where Nora has an ability or two that Barry doesn't, which we will see this season at some point. That is what I think where all of this is coming from. I don't really have an issue with Nora being more powerful or having the potential to be more powerful, as it sort of would make more sense due to her, or at least it makes sense due to her being born with these powers. So they would have had more time to develop and all of that. But in this period of time in this season, I just don't know if we would be able to see her develop that much to see her reach that potential. But that is really it from that trailer. There was just a few things to go over from that. Obviously, they were, major parts, but yeah, it wasn't too much. But now we will move into some stuff regarding episode 4 for this season, which is otherwise entitled Newsflash. Great name. Now we had the synopsis or description for this episode drop, which contains some fairly interesting stuff. So let's read it out and then go over it in more detail. Barry and Iris face the ultimate parenting test when Team Flash battles Spin, a savvy millennial arm with meta tech, and a dangerous agenda for their daughter, Nora. Ralph is feeling defeated until an unlikely source issues a challenge to help boost his confidence. So the first thing has to do with the villain for this episode called Spin, who will otherwise be known in the show as her real-life persona of Spencer Young. Now, it does say there that she is a savvy millennial. Now, when the character was first cast, she was said to be a social media influencer, which means she could be big on platforms such as like Twitter or Instagram or even YouTube. So this episode could get a bit way too personal for me. Anyway, it will be interesting to see how they implement that in the episode. But I think she is going to take advantage of Nora being in this timeline in some way, shape or form. Now it says that she will be armed with Meditech. Now I'm guessing this is so they can do something similar to her counterpart from the comics. Essentially what Spin had was a suit with like a TV on their face, and in conjunction with other abilities he took, he could make a person's worst fears appear on that screen in front of them. And yes, I said he because in the comics, Spin is a male, so he is being gender flipped for the TV show, which we have seen multiple times over the past few seasons on the show with different characters. I don't think they will necessarily do the whole TV face costume thing on the show. They might like allude to or do like an homage to it or something, but it would just be it could just be like a mind like meddling piece of tech or something that even messes with your technology to bring upon fear, or even with your, social media. It could do something along those lines. But it is going to be interesting to see why Spin is so focused on Nora and how she goes about her plan. And the other part of the synopsis talks about Ralph being defeated, and I think this might have to do with him just looking for a purpose in his life. Like what direction to go in, something like that. Obviously, it could be something that happens in like episode 2 or 3. But regardless of that, it does say that an unlikely source issues him a challenge, and it does seem that this unlikely source will be the new version of Harrison Wells for this season, that being Sherlock Wells. I'm 99.927% sure this is the first episode that he shows up in, as the first image of him on set went up, yeah, you guessed it, when they were filming this episode, that being episode 4. Now, there is a chance he appears in episode 3, but it just seems more likely, especially after that bit in the synopsis as well, that he will appear in episode 4 for the first time. And I am pretty excited to see how this new version acts and how he is different to all the other versions. But thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions on what we went over in this video and all of that. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll catch you later, guys. Goodbye.